Hello everybody, Vic here with another video, and today we're ranking the top 10 death scenes in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. There's about 9 movies in the franchise, plenty of death scenes to choose from. What stands out in the Nightmare franchise compared to other slasher franchises like Friday the 13th or Halloween is that Freddy being a dream killer or a dream demon really allows the imagination to run wild in some of these death scenes. I mean, you got special effects, you got creative kills. One of the things I most look forward to in a Nightmare film is seeing the death scenes. So I got about 15 or 16 favorite death scenes in the franchise, but I'm narrowing it down here to the top 10 that I feel like measure up in terms of not only creativity, but impact, stakes, surprise. There's a lot of factors that go into making a good death scene, the shock of it, the impact on the film, how strong was the character who was killed. So many things to talk about with that. But of course, in the comments, let me know your favorite death scene in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. And if you like the video, please, if you can, hit the like button, the thumbs up, subscribe if you have not. And let me know in the comments any feedback you have or anything you want to see discussed in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. All right, let's get into this list. Number 10 for me from Freddy's Dead is death of one Carlos. Carlos, who did not have the best upbringing, unfortunately was abused by his mom, has some hearing problems as a result of that, and Freddy, being the sick son of a gun he is going to take advantage of that and kind of dig into Carlos's fears and use it against him, and you get a very crazy death scene with Carlos getting his hearing taken out, and he's kind of in this boiler room area type place, and Freddy's gonna mess with him all the while, breaking the fourth wall and telling the audience that to be quiet while he kills Carlos. It's just a fun death scene. My favorite line of dialogue in Freddy's Dead, no question, is "Nice hearing from you, Carlos." It's, you can't get more over the top and fun than this. Freddy scratching the chalkboard, making my ears cringe. Carlos's head exploding. Carlos was a good character too. And the interesting thing I want you to take away from the Carlos death scene next time you watch Freddy's Dead is that he didn't really kill Carlos, because in the very next scene, before Spencer's video game death sequence starts, Carlos is in the TV. And he's warning Spencer. So wherever Carlos, if he died, did he die? He was sent to some other world where he's able to temporarily communicate with Spencer. It's a small thing in Freddy's Dead that's never really explored or touched upon again, but it's really interesting. I was like, wait a minute, if he's dead, how is he communicating with Spencer? Like, I guess Freddy erased him or just sent him to some other dimension, but he didn't kill him apparently if Carlos is still able to communicate afterwards. But it's never, as a defender of Freddy's Dead, I'm not going to claim the writing is great or solid, or that the continuity or that the plot is fantastic, and they don't really follow up on that, explain that situation. But just a great death scene in Freddy's Dead. Freddy's Dead itself, underrated. Check it out if you get a chance. It won't be the last appearance for Freddy's Dead on the list, though. All right, let's go to number 9, and number 9 is going to be Grady's death from Nightmare 2. I have mixed opinions about Nightmare 2. It's not my favorite Nightmare film. It's not my least favorite Nightmare film. I understand that for a lot of people, it's a great horror film, and I do think it's very unique and interesting. The interpretation of Freddy is very different from the other films. What Freddy's trying to do in this film is very different than Freddy's typical motivations. So it's an interesting sort of sidebar film in the franchise. In terms of the deaths, they don't build up a lot of characters in Nightmare 2, so you have a very small teen group, and really only 3 characters. The main guy, Jesse, his girlfriend, and his friend Grady. It's really the only 3 characters that get any focus in terms of teens go. So the movie has death scenes, but they're really mostly, for the most part, they're not impactful, because you really don't get to know any of these characters. You really don't care about the gym teacher being killed, and, that doesn't really leave any lasting impact at all. But because they focus only on a few of the characters, when one of those characters does die, it's actually very significant and impactful. And that's what happens to Grady here. Grady being a great friend, proving once again, as I've always said, being a good friend in horror movies never pays off. Anytime you play the good best friend role and you're doing a solid for your friend, you usually end up dead. That's usually your repayment for being a good friend in horror films. And it's no different for Grady here, who's going to let Jesse stay at his house. Jesse's going through all kinds of shit, involved in all this crazy stuff. As he explains to Grady, you can see Grady's eyes getting big at the idea of like, oh my goodness, my friend is crazy. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to be a solid friend, let him stay the night. Lets him stay the night, and what does he get for it? Freaking Freddy comes out of Jesse's body and kills Grady right on the outside door of his parents on the other side of the door. Like, it's not like Grady's the most developed character in the history of horror. It's not like he's this amazing, fantastic, deep character with tons of nuance. But Grady is the character most that we care about outside of the main guy and the main girl. So for him to get killed there about an hour in the film, it's very impactful. You feel bad for Grady. It's set up in a way that's pretty horrifying. Again, his parents on the other side of the door. Grady gets stabbed and through the door, and it's also, again, he's dealing with, it's not the funny Freddy that kills Grady. It's like a very dark, scary version of Freddy that kills Grady as well. So it's a standout death from Nightmare 2. It's the only death that has an impact in Nightmare 2, so it has to make the list there. Number 9, again, is Grady from Nightmare 2. Let's go to number 8. And I believe, so this is from Nightmare Part 4, Dream Master. I think the character's name is Elaine. It's basically the gym girl who's heavy in the gym, who makes it towards the end of the film. She has probably maybe the last death scene, I would say. And this death scene's crazy. Listen, as somebody who has been an on and off, mostly off gym person for the most part, it ebbs and flows. But, being underneath the bench, anybody's done a bench press before, there's always a concern, a weird, maybe it's just me. There's always a fear when you're doing the bench press about, like, man, what if I can't lift this weight? What if this weight comes down on me? There's so many things when lifting where realistically, honestly, we haven't really seen it before, but someone should really make a gym horror film, like just characters stuck in a gym and this like a slasher where the killer is using all types of gym equipment to kill people. I mean, that would really dig into some fears that people have that who go to the gym. But man, the girl here with the bench press, Freddy's gonna push it down and break her elbows. That just looks painful and sick as hell. And on top of that, not only does he's messing up her workout, he's gonna actually turn her into a damn roach. And then, because she apparently has an issue with bugs, so the whole Roach Hotel thing, you can check in, but you can't check out. Just a very creative death scene, very well done makeup effects here. Horrible death for the girl, though. I mean, first, again, her elbows get broken down while weightlifting, and now she eventually gets stomped as a bug, turned to a bug and stomped as a bug. It's a horrific death scene if you think about it deeply enough. Probably more deeply than you should think about it, but it always stands out for me as like the best death in part 4. All right, so let's go then to number 7. And number 7 is going to be Taryn's death from Dream Warriors. Now, Dream Warriors sets up a great group of teen characters, with Taryn, the Wizard Master guy, Joey, Kincaid, Kristen. And it gives them all enough screen time, enough of background, enough of story that you really don't know heading into the climax. You actually don't know fully who's going to die and who's going to survive. Like, when I'm heading to the last act of Dream Warriors, I have no idea that Kincaid and Joey are going to be chosen to survive. Meanwhile, Taryn and the Wizard Master are going to die, because to me, they're all treated as on equal footing heading to the climax. And that's a very nuanced, tricky thing that horror films can do, but usually choose not to do. Usually, they telegraph in the first half an hour, hey, these are the characters that are going to die. And even worse, you can usually guess which order they're going to die in. They really kind of give the screen time and they give the character development that you end up being able to rank, okay, this character's more important, this character's more important. It's a terrible thing in a slasher film where you want to keep things as unpredictable as possible. And Dream Warriors, I mean, that like Nancy, Neil, and Kristen are your main characters, but that supporting cast is treated all damn near equal. So you really don't know who's going to die, and that makes these deaths in the climax more impactful for both the Wizard Master and for Taryn. Just a quick note on the Wizard Master, because I'm not going to it's not going to make the list here, but this guy who's like this kid's probably a Dungeons and Dragons master, probably knows all the rules, is a true gamer. He gets a leg up on Freddy. Why the hell does he run at Freddy at the end? I mean, I don't care. Even the silliest, non-knowing, having no fight intelligence, no combative experience in any scenario, one rule everybody knows is like, you just keep your distance from the killer, from the enemy. So he has a leg up, but he decides to jog right at Freddy and make it easy for Freddy. So, I mean, this character could have survived, but I mean, just running at Freddy, and Freddy's like, you stupid Wizard Master, more like drunken idiot master. Why would you run at me? And just stabs him. And that's the end of the Wizard Master. Taryn's death. Taryn was a former drug addict, so that gets all in play here with this whole fight scene with Freddy. And it is legitimate. It feels like a legitimate fight scene. And man, you're really rooting for Taryn to beat Freddy. And even the actor said that subsequently after the film, she's gotten plenty of letters, plenty of feedback from fans who, maybe had drug issues and felt like she was an inspiration in this film, and that she actually inspired people to help fight their war on drugs. So the character has a lot of depth to it from that perspective, and it's a good death scene. It's kind of sad. I mean, honestly, like I said, Dream Warriors does a good job of building up the characters. We really don't want to see any of them die at the end, and especially Freddy using the drug thing against her. But ultimately, she was a badass in the scene. She fought back, and the result's a result. But it's a memorable death scene for sure. All right, let's go to number 6. It's gonna ruffle some feathers because people hate this movie and hate this death scene. And I'm talking about Spencer's video game, Nintendo. You forgot the Power Glove death from Freddy's Dead. I know half of you out there can't stand Freddy's Dead and hate any kind of positive mention or a positive contextualization of Freddy's Dead, but I'm here to give Freddy's Dead all the props in the world, as me and at least 2 comments from the last video and 6 people in Idaho, we're starting a damn Freddy's Dead fan base, a fan club, right? And you guys keep leaving comments. I'm gonna come out with some members only jackets for us Freddy's Dead fans, don't worry. But let's talk Spencer's death scene. Okay, Freddy, 30 years into the job, waiting on his pension, waiting to retire. Doesn't really give a damn about these kids. Doesn't really care about these kids anymore. Just super laid back, bored, trying to entertain himself with these deaths. That's what's happening here. Freddy's just trying to entertain himself. This video game death. I mean, it's not a scary death scene. It's not intimidating. It's it's funny. Freddy at the biggest jump the shark moment possible. Freddy sitting in a room playing video games, playing Spencer versus father. You know, back then this death made a lot of sense because this was like the Nintendo generation back then. I mean, I remember as a kid, Super Nintendo was my first real experience with video game systems, and man, whoever got the first Super Nintendo in the neighborhood, everybody else lost their mind. Who got the first Sega Genesis? Who got the first PlayStation? Everybody would go over their house and play Nintendo 64. We played GoldenEye for days on end. Super Nintendo, the game was Bomberman. We played Super Bomberman for days on end. But yeah, I mean, video games was all the rage back then in this way, and the Power Glove was a big thing too. So I just think it's a fun death scene with pretty good effects. When Spencer's bouncing all over the place, bouncing up on the walls, boing, boing, boing. It's actually very well done and funny. And how does Spencer even die? I don't know. He just, again, he falls into some kind of hellish abyss and disappears. And I guess it's, again, whatever happened to Carlos. Carlos was alive after his death, stuck in the TV or stuck in some other world. So I guess Spencer went to the same place. But I don't know. I got an appreciation for both Carlos's death and Spencer's death from Freddy's Dead. I think for all the faults to say about Freddy's Dead, these death scenes are very well done, and you do actually like the characters in Freddy's Dead. People underrate that these teens in Freddy's Dead are not assholes. They're not unlikable characters. They're all given some personality, and I respect that. So, okay. Let's get down to our number 5. This is the nitty-gritty top 5 most irreplaceable best death scenes in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. This is the best of Freddy's work. Number 5 is going to be Tina from the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Tina is playing, of course, our sort of Janet Leigh from Psycho, our Drew Barrymore from Scream, our would be, should be, could be the final girl, make you think it's the final girl, but she's going to die within 20 minutes. Also, Annie from the original Friday 13th. This death scene is shocking. It's brutal. Again, separate from those other movies, they really do a good job of in the original Nightmare of not letting you know who the final character is. You start off with giving Nancy and Tina equal screen time. Tina gets that first dream sequence we open with. So for all intents and purposes, an audience member on the first watch, you think Tina might be the final girl. So when she freaking gets decimated on the bed, blood spraying everywhere, thrown up against the walls, it's just a crazy, over-the-top, brutal death scene. Impactful, sets the stage for the entire Nightmare franchise. I don't know if Freddy was ever this brutal again, but he really is pretty crazy here with Tina's death. So that's got to be number 5 here. Number 4 is going to be Kristen in Dream Master. This is just sort of impactful because of the fact that it is a reoccurring character, and also because it signifies the end of the Dream Warriors, and also because, just to be completely honest, I get such a kick out of that whole beach scene. That beach scene is so ridiculous. Freddy coming out the water like damn Freddy Shark, blowing up a sandcastle, popping up, walking over, has his damn sunglasses, putting his sunglasses on, burying her in the sand. Him burying her in the sand, that could have been the death scene. Just him pushing her head down with his foot into the sand, that could have been the death scene. But we get a whole elaborate thing after that with Kristen eventually giving the powers up to Alice, Kristen being thrown into a damn furnace, and then the greetings from hell postcard from Freddy. I was going to put this or Nancy's death in part 3 here, but Nancy's death in part 3 is impactful, but the actual death itself is really a nothing death scene. This is like a really elaborate, drawn out confrontation between Kristen and Freddy we get. And so that's why this has got to be number 5 here. Nancy's death, I mean, it's impactful because it's Nancy, but the death scene itself, there's not enough going on there for me to actually put it on the list. All right, let's go to number 4, another reoccurring character who gets killed in epic fashion, and this is going to be Dan in Nightmare on Elm Street 5. Nightmare on Elm Street 5, another movie that people like Freddy's Dead dislike. I do find that the tone of Nightmare 5, the sort of gothic, serious tone, doesn't match up with Freddy's comedic personality. This movie, to me, needed a more serious Freddy to match the tone, and this could have went for a very straightforward, serious horror film, but you still have kind of Looney Tunes Freddy here. So there's a contrast in tone there that I think probably makes people a little bit harder in Part 5 than it deserves. But make no mistake, Part 5 has some brutal, fun death scenes with very good effects. Greta's death scene, is pretty dark. He's actually feeding her insides, especially if you watch the uncut version. It's pretty brutal. The whole comic book scene with Mark, it's fun. I mean, Super Freddy, it's a fun idea. It's a comic book death. It's pretty fun. But nothing better than Part 5 than the Dan dream sequence death where Dan is on this first he's in a car and he's going to get into an accident, and then he's going to basically end up on a motorcycle and turn to damn Ghost Rider. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. He freaking turns to a skeleton Ghost Rider on the motorcycle. The effects here are so good. Such an elaborate death scene. So many good lines here. And I got the need for speed. Bad year, Dan. Never dream and drive. So many good lines in this one death scene. So, and again, Dan being a recurring character, it's also an impactful death because it would be very easy to bring Dan back for Part 5 and have him be a survivor. And probably if the other survivor outside of Alice was going to be Yvonne, then I preferred both Dan and Mark should have survived over Yvonne, who to me is the worst character in Nightmare 5, and she's the character they chose to have survive at the end. I don't understand that. So maybe justice for Dan. Maybe him or Mark should have survived in Part 5, but what an epic death scene for Dan here. All right. Number 2 is my favorite death scene from Dream Warriors, and this is the whole TV death scene. The welcome to primetime, bitch, like this. I mean, come on. It doesn't get better than this. The woman watching the talk show, and Freddy's going to come out the TV with Freddy face coming out the TV, grabbing her head first in the TV. It's just, again, I think when you think of Freddy highlights, Freddy montage, Freddy death scenes, this TV death scene always comes into play. And welcome to primetime, bitch. Is that an improvised line? I don't know. They say it's an improvised line. If Robert Englund thought of that on the spot before he bashes her head into the TV, it's such a Freddy Krueger line. It's one of the best lines in all of horror slasher franchises. So this death has got to get the props here. Okay. Number 1 on the list. My favorite death scene. Again, this is all completely subjective. Everybody's going to have their own top 10, their own top 5, their own favorites. But if I had to show someone one death scene in the franchise, I always go back to Johnny Depp's death in Part 1. Playing the character Glenn, Nancy's boyfriend. Disbeliever, believer, we don't really know where he stands for most of the film. It looks like has some kind of crush on Nancy. They're kind of like that girl next door, boy next door, budding, probably will date each other in high school if they had survived. But so he likes her, so maybe because of that, he's sort of on board with the idea. Maybe there's some kind of dream killer, dream demon, but man, if he's on board with it, he has one of the dumbest setups for a death scene ever, because Nancy's going to tell him, hey, here's the plan. Meet me at midnight. I'm going to bring this guy out of my dream, and you cold clock him with a bat. And he's like, okay, I like you crazy, but I love you. I'll be there. That's the plan. And, he then lays down in his bed with some headphones on and proceeds to basically damn near fall asleep. And okay, we understand you weren't thinking, Glenn. You messed up here, fell asleep. Okay, but he gets another chance because his mom comes in the room and wakes him up at 11:42. 11:42, his mom wakes him up, tells him he should get some sleep, but he remembers, hey, I got this plan to meet Nancy at midnight. He looks at the clock, 11:42. He's supposed to meet her in 18 minutes. What's he do? He lays back down and goes to sleep again. Like, damn it, Glenn, what are you doing? Like, the stakes are high here, man. That much is on the line. The girl you like is waiting for you she thinks she's in danger. She tells you before, whatever you do not fall asleep. And what do? You fall asleep with 17 minutes left till midnight. And damn it, what happens? Freddy's going to pull you into the bed, Glenn, and despite your struggles, like, I don't know what the hell happened to Glenn. I don't know what Freddy did to him in that bed that made all that damn blood gush out. When the blood comes out like that, his mom comes in, it's, again, one of the most horrifying death scenes in all of horror, I would say. And there's some uncut footage where maybe you see his body come up, but I think it's better left to the imagination. Like, whatever the hell happened there, if that was really all his blood, then I don't understand. Like, that's pretty wild, pretty crazy. The sick mind of, I guess, maybe Wes Craven, whoever came up with that death scene, but it really has stood the test of time. So that's my number one death scene. All right, again, in the comments, let me know your favorite death scenes in the franchise, if you have one specifically. And again, please subscribe to the channel if you have not. We got more Freddy content coming up soon as we're deep diving the entire franchise. Until next time, you guys take care.